culture of mulberry, which is required for the production of mulberry. So I will hand over to Dr.
So in this session, we will going to study about morphology, diseases, and pest of mulberry along with its control mechanisms. So this animal, all of you know, as it can eat and digest into everything in the world. But what happens if this person or this animal is feeded on given the feed of only by one plant species, that is apple gourd or tinder, for entire 24/7 days? It will definitely get irritated. He will definitely get irritated. But surprisingly, there is one insect which eats on only one plant genus for entire of its life cycle. And from starting from 5,000 years of its interaction history, he only feed on this genus, that is Morus. So Morus, the name is given by Linnaeus, and the genus is distributed throughout the world in tropical and temperate region all around the world. However, the taxonomy of this plant is very debatable. There are many researchers which identify 5, 8, 13, 16, 24 and even 35 species of Morus. But there are only 17 species or accepted names of Morus are listed in Plant of the World online database, and there are 68 subordinate species. So why also the distribution is throughout the temperate and tropical areas, but the production of silk is restricted to China, India, and some parts of Africa and Central Asia and South America. Why the taxonomy of this plant is so debatable? Because the plant can do intergeneric hybridization with many of the species. So there are many variety, sub-variety and subspecies present in this genre. Also, there is high degree of polyploidization. There are species with 2n number equal to 28, and also there are species with 2n number of 308. So there are several species which shows polyploidy in this genus. Also, as you can see in this table, Linnaeus identified only Morus alba, but other researchers gave several different varieties, named several different varieties of Morus alba, nearly 20 given by one person. So these are generally ecotypes and many hybrids which are formed by intergeneric hybridization. So the taxonomy of this species is highly debated. This ITS sequencing marker study shows that there are two clades. One is South American clade or North American clade, and one is Asian clade. There are two clades which goes together, but in between these two clades, there is one more genus, Trophis. So Morus forms an intergeneric hybridization with this genus also, and to form a Morus Trophis complex. Therefore, there are several subspecies, subvarieties, and ecotypes present in this genre. Now, moving on to habit, the tree is fast growing and semi-deciduous. They are generally small to medium size in height, and they are very hardy, grows almost on all kind of soils, but the growth is very luxurious on loamy soil with pH ranging from 6.2 to 6.8. It requires optimal rainfall of 1000 to 1500 millimeter throughout the year, but in rain-fed conditions, it never sheds the leaf. It becomes evergreen. There are several species which are in domestication, but Morus alba and Morus indica are completely or fully domesticated species of this genus. Along with several wild varieties that are known, Morus serrata and Morus livigata are two Himalayan variety which is very common in India. Now, as you can see, there are several variations of Morus alba in one geographical area, that is Rajasthan only. There is several different leaf structure in single Morus alba of Rajasthan. However, one thing is common: the leaf is simple, and you can see the alternate arrangement of leaf. So this is one of the identifying feature of Morus genus. Leaves are simple and they are alternately placed. The most important characteristic feature to identify Morus in family Moraceae is its inflorescence. The tree is dioecious, that is, male and female are born on different trees. And as you can see, it is a petaloid kind of plant with no petal and sepals are present, and only the reproductive structures are arranged in a highly reduced form. These on the right side of your screen, these are female, and on the left side are male inflorescence. The pollination in this plant occurs by the mode of wind, anemophily. It occurs by the mode of wind. And this is one of the fastest mechanism of pollination in world by any plant. And the speed of it is half of 343 meter per second, which is the speed of sound. So this is the fastest known pollen spreader in Delhi. So there are many indigenously grown Morus variety in India, developed by CSRTI, Central Sericulture Research and Training Institute. And among these varieties are selected on the basis of geographical condition, environmental aspects, rainfall, and also with some important properties such as rooting, capability of rooting. So high spreader of root, for example, Canva 2, this variety, nearly 80% of the plant's stem cuttings that are planted forms the root. And in V1, it is more than 90%. So the success of variety depends on how fast it can root inside the soil. Also, the second condition is the yield potential. How much amount of leaf that this plant can grow in a single stem, in a single branch. So for example, in Canva, it is 32 to 35 million ton per hectare per year leaf produced by this variety of the plant. Now, moving on to methods of plantation. For success of sericulture as a startup, it is important to study the method of plantation of Morus plant. So in this scenario, we will go about studying preparation of land, methods and types of mulberry plantation, methods of propagation and nursery preparation, soil fertility, organic manure and fertilizers that are used, various irrigation method and various harvesting methods. So before plantation, the field is needed to be thoroughly plowed, and also farmyard manure should be distributed in the entire area. Now, the classification or the types of plantation, it depend on the pruning size, where we can prune that tree. If we prune, the pruning also depends on the area. Suppose in north area, the most of the varieties that are there in north regions and northeast regions are mostly tree. So it should be pruned at the crown height, which is 150 to 175 centimeter. But in South India or Central India, they mostly prune, the varieties are generally of bush type and dwarf type, and the cut, the pruning side is very low or near to the ground. So depending on the pruning side, there are three types of plantation. One is low cut, which is known as bush. Second is medium cut, which is nearly like a shrub. It is a dwarf variety. And in North Indian climatic condition, you will see a high cut pruned trees, which are known as tree. Now, moving on to the system of plantations. So the general method of plantation is basically, the first method is pit and trench system, pit or trench system, in which a trench of 30 by 30 centimeters is dug, and at the base of that trench, a layer of compost is filled, and then the stem cutting is adjusted at the center, and entire trench is then filled with soil. In basically the bush type of and dwarf type of these pruning system, the cut is generally is given near to the soil. Most importantly, and in recent years, the paired row system has been developed, which is more successful as it can encompass more number of trees in a hectare, and also it gives ample amount of space for irrigation and filling up the manure. So this paired row system is basically the highly used irrigation or plantation system in this scenario, in Indian conditions. Also, there is one more system, that is row system, rows and furrows system, in which this system is used where rain-fed or highly water irrigated irrigation or water is more. This system is successful only in those areas, not in North Indian conditions. Now, moving on to method of propagation, where we can make nurseries, we can make trees or plant or saplings in the nurseries. There are several methods of propagation. First is through stem cutting. Most of the morus is grown vegetatively. बहुत ही कम ये seed से grow किया जाता है. Mostly it is grown by the means of stem cuttings and also by the means of grafting. As soon as the new bud appears, it is then transferred into the soil to form rooting. Another method is layering, where one soft branch is pushed towards the soil and soil is deposited on it, so that the root initiation starts. And as soon as it starts rooting, it is now ready to transfer into several different areas. So there are three methods of propagation. Now, as you can see, the plant require ample amount of nutrient. There is requirement of nearly 500 kilogram per hectare of nitrogen and also 300 kilogram per hectare of potassium. So this plant eats nutrient day in, day out. And generally chemical fertilizers are given in which the ratio of nitrogen is always on the high side. There are several alternatives of chemical based fertilizer, which are Ceri-Azo, which is azobacter, PGPR. It improves the soil fertility and increase the nitrogen content in the soil. Also the vermicompost and this Seri phos is also used, which is a arbuscular mycorrhiza, and it solubilizes phosphate. So these three are alternative to chemical fertilizer. These are biofertilizers. So there are three methods of irrigation: furrow irrigation, overhead sprinkler, and drip irrigation. And out of these, only drip irrigation is most successful, as it saves a lot of water. In this condition, you can see the drip irrigation condition. इसमें वो नहीं लेजर नहीं कैसे इससे नहीं ऊपर वाला जो रेड अच्छा okay. In this condition, as soon as the water content drops down from the soil, as the tank is on a higher platform, water runs away in just like diffusion in plant. As soon as the water contained or water evaporates from soil, it takes more water from the tank. So it only takes as much water as it requires. So it saves a lot of water in this irrigation system. Now, after irrigation, there are two basic methods of harvesting of the leaves for sericulture. First is leaf plucking, and second is direct shoot harvest. So in shoot harvest, we require more nutrients so that new shoots always come up as we cut down the older shoots. Now moving on to diseases. So morus is infested by several pathogens and pests. And depending on the types of plant part, transmission and interaction, the diseases has been recognized. On the basis of plant part, it is foliar diseases, root diseases, and systematic diseases in which the entire plant is affected. On the basis of transmission, the disease can be seed-borne, airborne, or soil-borne. On the basis of interaction, the disease can be parasitic and non-parasitic. Non-parasitic diseases are just like the deficiency diseases of some minerals or nutrients, and parasitic diseases are caused basically by pathogen. Now, there are several examples there are many diseases that morus are infected with, but few of them I have covered in this presentation. The first foliar disease, very common foliar disease, is leaf spot disease, which is caused by a fungal pathogen, Cercospora moricola. And in this case, you can see the brown patches, brown spots, dark brown spots on the leaves, which gets converted into dark black round patches, and entire leaf sheds within a week from the plant. Another common disease, foliar disease of this morus is powdery mildew disease, which is caused by Phyllectina corylea. And this disease is recognized by the formation of powder-like deposition on the basal surface of the leaf. Another foliar disease are leaf rust, and one of the most dangerous of them is fungal leaf blight, in which entire leaves of the plant gets blackened out, and it generally falls or within a week from the stem. Although leaves, foliar diseases are more spreadable, more fast spreading as compared to stem disease, but stem disease are more dangerous as it destroys entire plant in a go. For example, there are several stem diseases: stem canker, cutting rot, collar rot, and dieback. Almost all of them are caused by fungal pathogens, and entire plant gets affected in this case. Then there are several root diseases. One of them is root knot diseases, which is basically affected by the nematodes, soil dwelling nematodes. It generally affects these entire plant. In the growth of entire plant gets stunted, and the number of leaves to production decreases drastically in this case. Another root disease is root rot disease, in which the roots of the plant get degraded by the fungal pathogen Fusarium solens. Now, disease management. As most of the diseases are caused by fungal pathogens in morus, so one of the chemical that is antifungal known to everyone, and it is present in almost in every labs, it is Bevestin. But it is highly poisonous to spread Bevestin, as it not only cause serious irritation to humans, but also has an effect on silkworm. There are several alternatives of this pesticides and this insecticides, which is nursery guard. One is nursery guard is Trichoderma pseudocongni, and basically this is a pathogen. Basically, it is a fungal, but it is a pathogen of another pathogenic fungus which are present in the soil. So this is a very good alternative of chemical chemical pesticides and insecticide. This trichoderma can damage the entire fungal pathogen present in the soil. Another type of disease management can be done through the neem cake, and another trichoderma, which is fungal pathogen, and also by the verticillium chlamydosporium, which is a pathogen on nematode. So these are several disease management which are non-chemical ways of protecting the mulberry tree. Now, there are several pests also. There are many pests, and few of them are mealybugs. Mealybugs are very common pest present on mulberry trees, and there are several chemicals or pesticides which are useful against these pathogens, which is known as dichlorvos, which is very common pesticide present in the market. Also, there are many biological mechanisms by which we can reduce the mealybugs. First is azadirachtin, which is isolated from neem trees. This chemical is isolated from neem trees, which is very effective against the mealybugs. Also, there is a bioweapon mechanism, which is pesticide mechanism, which is known as Cryptolemus montroseri. This insect or this bug feeds on the larva of mealybugs. Similarly, a whitefly is also a common pest of morus, and the best non-chemical way to destroy these flies are sticky traps. As these are very attracted towards these sticky traps, most of the flies get trapped in this. And both of them are sap dwelling or sap consuming insect varieties of morus. There are many foliar chewing insects of morus, which are most common of them is leaf roller. Leaf roller can be biologically handled by this fly, which feeds on the larva of leaf roller. There is also another Bihar hairy caterpillar, which is a dangerous pest and eats entire leaf and reproduced very fast. There is also pesticide mechanism, trichogramma, a fly, Drosophila-like fly, which feeds on the eggs of this caterpillar, can be used in spite of dichlorvos, which is common pesticide. There are several stem-based pests, which are termites and stem borer. In this case, there is no biomechanism, although the most common practice is to destroy the plant by making into the ash. Now, these insect and plant both co-evolved through 5,000 years of their history. So what kind of interaction is this? What kind of interaction? कौन सा interaction होगा? If it is a parasitic interaction, then how it can sustain 5,000 years of its survival? So mostly it is a mutualistic interaction. Mutualistic interaction. In everywhere it is written mutualistic interaction. But how mutualistic? Plant provide food, and as you can see, these are the various amino acids that are present in leaves of mulberry. And these are two important protein which is present in the silk, fibroin and sericin. And you can see the amino acid present in fibroin is exactly which are present in the leaves of morus. So these amino acid or proteins which are present in morus get converted into a very important fiber which is known as fibroin. So therefore, this insect to complete its life cycle, morus is very important. It provides necessary food or necessary amino acid which it get converted into the cocoons. Also, a sericin, another protein which is present in the silk, is derived from because morus is a highly rich source of serine, it gets converted into sericin by the worms. So plant ने दे दिया, plant provided the food, है ना, and also the ingredients to make cocoon. Plant को क्या मिला? What did the plant get? How it is mutualistic? For mutualism, दोनों plus होना चाहिए ना. So how it is mutualistic? What did the plant get? So first thing, there is one saying that generally these worms eat 50,000 times of their body weight. तो इतना खा रहा है तो कहीं ना कहीं तो निकालेगा. So they excrete a lot. And because in previous slide, as you can see, जहाँ पे ये slide था, this one, अजीब प्लांट है, कितना भी खाए भूखा ही रहता है. So it requires lot of nitrogen. So one thing is provided by this insect is nitrogen. First. Second thing, which is a very important part, is cis-jasmine. How this interaction co-evolved. Why this interaction is co-evolved, and इतना ज़्यादा co-evolution है कि उसके पास दूसरा खाना ही नहीं है. So there is a finding that says that highly selective tuning of a silkworm olfactory receptor to a key mulberry leaf volatile. So while plant produce a volatile compound, as soon as the leaf get damaged, plant produces a volatile compound, and this, in this case, it is cis-jasmone, jasmonic acid. So jasmonic acid क्या करता है? एक volatile compound है, and as soon as it get released from the plant, it informs other plants nearby. It triggers some proteins in the other plants nearby कि भाई मेरे पे तो पेस्ट आ गया, अब तू देख ले. हाँ, immunity. It increases the immunity. So only this pest, this organism, this insect can suppress or get it. In fact, it get attracted. Olfactory receptors of this insect get attracted towards this jasmonic acid. So as soon as plant releases jasmonic acid, it attracts this silkworm. And silkworm क्या करता है, आके और लीफ खाता है, तो और jasmonic acid निकलता है, तो और caterpillar आता है. Now, how does it helps the plant? Increased number of jasmonic acid released through the plant can suppress the other pests to infest these plants. As you see, there are many pests, many pathogens which infect these plants. So it is highly important one-to-one interaction, mutualistic interaction by these insects, which increases the amount of jasmonic acid and suppress many other fungal and other pests, insect pests to invade these plants. So this is the mutualistic interaction between the two. Thank you. Thank you so much.